Hey, thanks for vibing with
CeCe and
ChiChi, where we talk about all the hot topics. What's your vibe? What you been up to, girl? How's your vibe today?
my vibe is pretty chill. I'm balanced. I've been trying to work out and drink my water and just try to eat right. But, things get off track. I've been craving like sweets, but I've been pretty chill. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, vibes are okay. I got out a little bit early today. So, just being out when the sun is still bright is always good. But yeah, things are doing good. I'm okay. Some things that I was some results that I was waiting on, I finally got it. So I was able to kind of ease my vibe. So everything turned out well.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, everything's good. So what's up?
Let's jump into these topics today.
All right.
Our viewers and subscribers. I want to talk about first date etiquette. I know you're far removed, but maybe you want to do role playing and pretend like it's y'all's first time going out.
Okay.
And people that are like newly dating, whether it's from online, whether it's from somebody introducing them to this person. But to me, it seems like nowadays, first dates, there's so much pressure. Like literally people have things, and maybe that's always been the case. But I really think like on the first date, you should really go into it like you're meeting a new friend.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think it should be very cool, calm, and collected, and not putting pressure on the expectation of what's going to come from this. Like, right. I really think the main purpose of a first date is really trying to get to know this person and seeing how they interact organically. Like, first impressions are important, but I also think, like, just talking to that person, seeing where their head is at, without fantasizing what could come from it is so important when you're dating somebody. But
So
I
have a couple questions for you before we get into what I think. So just when you go on the date, what are like the top three? Do you ever come to the date with like top three questions that you must know? And if so, what are those top three questions that you just want to know before you get deeper into the conversation?
That is a great question, ChiChi. And I think nowadays there's so much conversation that goes on the front end before you even get to the date.
I see.
Like my questions usually are, and this is before I get to the date. So when I get to the date, I'm really just trying to see how do you act with the wait staff, what restaurant do you pick, or it doesn't even have to be a restaurant. Where are we meeting up at? I look at different things to continue on with the conversation. But like my first things are, do you have kids?
Okay.
How long have you been single? Like, do you, want to be married? Like, sometimes those are my first questions. Okay.
Do you have kids?
I have kids, yeah.
So we say that's the priority?
That's the priority, because I want to know.
Do you have kids? Okay, so then for that question, would that cross off yes or no for you?
Yes, it does. It really does.
Okay, so kids is a no for you?
Then it depends on how many.
Okay, then so no or yes, and then you ask how many?
Yes. And if it's more than two, it's a no. Okay,
it's a no. Okay.
And even two is still kind of like,
You ask more questions.
Yes, more questions, yeah.
Okay.
But more than two, automatically that's a no.
Perfect. Okay, so then if they pass that second question, said,
how long have you been single?
How long have you been single?
Yeah.
What is your threshold?
If you haven't been single more than like a month, then it's a kind of a flag. A flag's going to go up. And then if you've been single more than like 5-6 years, another flag's going to go up. Okay. So that's kind of like my threshold. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, Nate, let's see. No flags went up. Third question. Are you...
Well, that's...
Are you married?
Question. If you get through those two, then we go on the date.
Okay.
On the date, it's more so, what questions are you asking me? How interested are you really?
Okay.
Because to me, at that point, it should be like a play on words. Not even a play on words, but more so like you ask the question, I ask the question. Like we need to go back and forth in the communication. Like I don't want it to be an interview where I'm just asking you questions.
Right.
But I need to see where your head is at and what questions you will come up with on your own, because that's going to show me your level of interest.
So then my question again, and I'm curious. So I'm just asking. I'm just like, 'cause Because I remember when I went on dates back in the days, I just kind of have a date in my mind. I was just there drinking, eating, having a good old time. But it sounds like because of the new generation, there is a lot of pre-dating, like an online dating, those kind of things. There's a lot of things that occur before you get to the actual date. So that's interesting. So when you actually make it to the date and they passed all your, your pre-screening, what are some of the questions you want them to ask you so that you know that, okay, they want to know if I'm, a good person or what are the questions you want them to ask you so you can know that they're really interested?
Right. Like, how am I really going to know unless they ask certain questions? So, of course, they need to ask if I have any kids. Do I want to have children? Those are important questions for me. And then, like, what do I like to do? What does my day normally look like? I want them to be very curious of my availability because I do plan my life around other things, like other responsibilities.
Got you.
So to me, I need to see that you're interested in my day-to-day life so that then you see where you can fit in. Instead of, like, trying to force me to make time or whatever, see where the time is at and what you're going to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So I need to know how interested you are. And then I want them to, like, be curious about my spare time, like, okay, my spare time, what are my hobbies? Like, what do I like to do? And things like that. What are my hobbies? And vice versa.
Right. Okay. That sounds pretty good. But then just listening to it, because like you said, I haven't been on, first date in a long time, but just listening to it, it gives me serious vibes. So would you say that the first date is serious in your opinion?
Honestly, I think when you are listing questions and conversations, it's more serious than actually making it a real life experience.
Okay.
So when you're there, you're kind of like vibing, like you said, eating, drinking, having a good time. So what do you do for fun? Like, what's your normal day look like? Just getting to know somebody. I think it moves a little bit more organically than just us like listing things out that we're going to discuss. But in the back of my mind, there's still things I want to know to feel more comfortable with this person. I want to see how vulnerable they're going to be if I ask them like about a certain experience in their life or elaborate on what went wrong in your last relationship, just out of curiosity gets to that. I want to see how open, they're going to be to discuss these things because that to me shows their emotional maturity, their emotional intelligence. Like, how do you feel you played a part in it? And for me, that's a fun conversation. Like, I love to figure out how people think about things. Like, I think that's fun. And now, maybe because I'm more mature and things like that. Like, dating is fun, but I like to talk about some deep things. I like to talk about some lighthearted things. I like to joke around. I want to talk about current events. I like to see how informed people are. So it really doesn't have to be serious, but there's still things I'm going to talk about. I want to make sure I touch on because, for one, I don't like wasting time. So if I'm comfortable with these maybe important 3 things, then all the other fluff, that's just going to be to, like, include, to make more time, to make things continue to like progress, but also it's going to determine, are we going to do this again? Because and how? Like, because it's like one thing to have another date, but maybe it's a friendship date. Like, we just want to hang out now, or maybe it's like this could go somewhere. Let's have that type of date. I think there's some categories now, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So what about if it was going the vibes are going, right on both ends and he says, all right, good, have a good evening. And then gives you a kiss. Is that a red flag or is that, it depends on the situation. First date, first meeting and vibes are right. Y'all laughing and kicking it. And he goes for a kiss. One of those serious ones.
Are you really getting in there, huh?
Like the serious, I want to know what the people doing.
Not you interested to know. I think now where I'm at, it's going to be like a dodge. Because even if we're really vibing, everything is flowing organically, I'm feeling you, I'm going to lean in with a good hug, a good quality hug of reassurance. Like, I'm feeling you, but you're not getting a kiss right now. Because that's later on. I'm not feeling you to that extent. Like, none of those types of vibes really. I mean, potentially, like, depending on how I give you a hug, that's going to determine, like, how I feel romantically. Because, there's different levels of hugs. There's, like,
of course.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I give you a good hug and I feel close to you, then that's going to let you know, like, you may possibly get a kiss later on. But you're not getting it tonight. Like,
got you. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Have you been on an awkward date before? Like where it's just like, and you're like, have that? Is that a thing?
I've been on some dates with guys that I probably wouldn't go out with again.
I see.
But I feel like I'm a little awkward too sometimes. So I just I want people to be themselves. Like, be
right.
Like, it's weird. We about to kind of be weird together for now because obviously it's open territory. If I from you, I'm about to be awkward too. Like, we're about to have fun.
Exactly.
So no, I haven't. I've been on some dates with people that probably wouldn't be like my organic option, where it's just, okay, we have that chemistry because, you know, your quirks are a little bit different from my quirks. It's fine.
Right.
We have our quirks at the table. But we're really not going to go anywhere. It's not going to move on because it's just like, I don't want it to be like this all the time. It doesn't feel like
organic, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel sexy. It doesn't feel like, it's not giving me that. It's giving, we can just both bring our quirks to the table and have a good time. You know?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of insight. And I know for me, one thing back in the days that was a turn on for me, if we're going to have a date and your first place that you recommend is Netflix and chill, whether your house or my house, that's a no for me. That's a block. That's a no. So yeah, and I hate like, what you going to my house for? Like, no. You don't want to spend you're going to spend some money, and you're going to spend some money a couple times. That was my vibes back in the days. Like, no, you're going to take me out. You're going to court me because I'm into that old fashioned type of love. Like, no, you're going to court me. You're going to open doors and all this good stuff, and you're going to feed me. Right. Okay. But I definitely do agree that, I mean, ladies can also, you know, treat a guy too, but when I was single, I don't do that early on. Yeah. Like, I want to make, you know, I definitely agree with the back and forth. The lady wants to treat the man or whatever, all for it. But I definitely agree with the courtship. Like, that should never be taken away. So I'm a big advocate for definitely courting me. And then once we're a thing, I'm also an advocate for also treating my man as well. Like, I want to buy you stuff. I want to buy you clothes, boxers, food, whatever, you know, I see fit. Cause I like to take care of my spouse as well. Spouse, you know, I don't know if I did too much of, you know, buying things like a boyfriend, but then I didn't have too much boyfriends back in the day, and I just didn't, and I didn't have money. So it was like different back in the day. So that's why I was kind of interested to see, like, you know, I'm sure back in the day also it wasn't about online dating either. So that's also been something I'm like, I wonder how that goes. Like, would you recommend online dating to people, or?
I've tried it before. I'm not gonna say I never have. It's been probably a year or so since I've done online dating, if I'm being honest. Okay. I think it's a good way to meet people quickly. Okay. And I'm not gonna say I directly know people where they've had successful interactions. I know one couple. Okay. Because they met online, but they already knew each other. Okay. They reconnected online.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know if that really counts. But if it wasn't for that online dating, they may not have ever come across each other again. Right. And now be married and make it, you know, they're doing good. They're happy. Right. So, I mean, I'm not against it, but I am a little old fashioned now. Like, I can meet you at the store. I want to meet you in a natural setting that I'm going to be myself. You're going to see me. I'm going to see you. And then we can see how it goes. But I'm not saying it's off the table. I feel like there's more things you're going to have to check for if you do online dating. Because you're not going to see that person up front at first. The first impression is going to be over some simulation. Like, it's not real, to be honest. Right. I mean, the person could be real, but what they've placed on there was very calculated, very strategic.
Right. Interesting.
So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not going to ever knock it. But I think be even safer than you would, like, be more precautious than you would, I guess, meeting somebody naturally. But even then, you know, you just got to be careful out here. You got to check out that person, see where their mind is at, you know, see what type of patterns you can pick up on, girl.
Yes, that's interesting insight. So for the viewers, if y'all advocate for online dating, let us know and tell us why. You know, what is it like for you? Or if you say no to online dating, also tell us why. Why not online dating? Or if you had a bad experience with online dating, share with us. Let's talk about it. So what's next, girl?
So what's next? I would like us to talk about, who do you think moves on quicker after a breakup? Women or men?
off the top, just, if I'm going to answer, I would say men, only because ladies are more emotional, and it deals with the hormones and the type of hormones that's predominant in a lady. So we're a little bit more emotional. And there's a saying, when a lady loves, they love for real, they love hard. So once they love you, it's going to be harder to, move on. They can move on depending on what that other person did. But I would definitely say a man, because it's easier to move on because of, if we move on too quick, or if we do things too quick, we can see that, not the consequence, or we can see the results literally on us. If we do, like when I say results, like if we move on too quick or move around too quick, we can be pregnant. And I know a guy can make someone pregnant, but we can be pregnant or something, so it will see it on us. So we're kind of a little bit, I'm not speaking for the general, but I'm just speaking for myself, a little bit more harder to move on because of some of the life-changing consequences or decisions that can occur because of it. And then a lady loves hard. So it's going to be a little bit harder emotionally to give your love and energy to someone else, depending on how long the relationship was and how deep it was. But those are my thoughts. It could be wrong.
Yeah, viewers, I want y'all to kind of chime in. Who do you think moves on quicker in relationships, like once it ends, the woman or the man? Because for me, I really think initially I could easily say a woman would move. Well, I would say a man would move on quicker than a woman would. But now I'm starting to look at things a little bit differently. And a lot of times I think women, we are more premeditated once we're ready to move on. Like we've already kind of disconnected. And so when we make that decision to leave, especially if we're the first ones to voice that or whatever the case may be, I think if we're the ones to initiate the end of the relationship, we're going to move on quicker. Because why are we ending it then? Like, literally, in my mind, I'm ending it because I know I deserve something better. So I'm okay. I'm ready to move on. Because listen, my mind is already made up. And I think at that point, if a man feels like they're really missing out and they're going to lose something very special, or they drug their feet, or whatever the reason was, they cheated, they messed up, I think maybe it's going to be harder. They may physically move on quicker, but emotionally, I still think they're going to have those hard feelings and be holding on to it. I think women move on quicker physically than women do, but I do believe that women move on emotionally quicker than men do.
Okay. And just to clarify, I think you said women move on quicker than women do. I think you said that, but you mean women move on quicker than men do, right?
So, and let me know if it's clear, if it makes sense. But I think men move on quicker physically than women, but women move on emotionally quicker than men.
Right. It makes sense. Because like you said, when they're ready to move on, it's premeditated. They have thought about it for some time, so even years at times.
Yeah.
And that is true.
So that's just true. My thoughts,
Yeah.
And whatever amount of time you need to move on, there's nothing wrong with that. And I also feel like, to be clear, some people think like you have to wait 6 months to a year to move on after a breakup. Of course, I think it depends on how much time has been invested. Right. But at the same time, if you are ready emotionally, mentally, spiritually to move on, and you get into another relationship, I don't think you should be hard on yourself. Because some people are like, oh, well, you need to take time to heal and all that stuff. Time looks different to everyone.
It's true. It's subjective.
Why do I gotta wait? Yeah, if I'm ready in 2 weeks, I'm ready in 2 weeks. Don't judge me.
Okay.
Right. 6 months. That's on you.
Right. That's on you. Right.
I feel like I've done my work and I know what I'm looking for. This relationship didn't work. That's fine.
So what about if I moved on like the next day? Would that be? Or it's still like, each his own?
I think each his own. To each their own. You know what kind of work you've done internally, emotionally to end that relationship and know what you're prepared for. And you may meet that person.
Right. They might be down the street like,
yeah, I can wait for this moment.
Right. Right. Okay. All right.
Live your life 24 hours later. Why not?
Okay. Why not? You only got one life. Okay. Shit.
So the last topic I want to talk about, it kind of ties into this, but
okay.
How important, I know you're going to come from the expertise of being a married woman and having your husband be very hands-on as a father. But what do you think the importance of the man being a father figure in general? What's the importance of that in your mind?
And I think we both can talk about this because whether it's like me having a husband, but we all have a dad, right? So we can come from it that, we can come from it from that standpoint. So I'll talk more. I'll start off by saying me as a daughter and having a father, I think is very important because it kind of shows you what a man's supposed to treat a lady. How a man's supposed to treat a lady. And it kind of gives you those principles on what is right and what is wrong. So that's a big thing that I see with like watching my mother and father interact to see what is normal and what is not. And then also protection, like, what is a man supposed to do? Because I don't know as a little kid. So just seeing that it's, protection, go out and work, bring food, give me, advice, tough love as well. Playing sports, all those things, you gather those from, your father. Not to say that your mother can't do those things, but those are some of the things that, comes from a father, but things come from mother too. They do both. Like I played sports with my father. I talked like now, me and my father's actually really close. Like he gives me different advice. It's like a masculine advice than a mother would, kind of like that tough love embedded in there, different principles you can get from a father, protection. Like, I know my dad, can protect me physically. My mom can protect me physically too. But, a father, you just have that, that you have that power or something behind you and just, how does a lady supposed to be treated? So that's kind of what I get from that. And then in terms of like my husband, he's very hands-on with the kids. Also, how they watch how he interacts with me. So that's actually something they really watch and anticipate. And like during Valentine's, how he buys me flowers. It's like a routine. They know flowers will come, but he buys me flowers as well as my daughters. He takes all of us out and things like that. And my son, he's hands-on with my son. If it's tough love, if it's counseling, if it's giving him embedding principles, and also watching sports, watching basketball together, watching soccer and football. So those little things that I'm not really, skilled in, so he does those things and he protects the house. Like if somebody were to enter our house, I know he's going to be the one that, physically help, protect us. So so I think it's very important to have a father figure because despite, the mother can do things as well, interchangeable. Mother, father, they could do all the same things. But it's just a different level when it comes from the father, just a different vibe, a different feeling.
I agree.
But you need both. Both is important to have that balance that we always talk about and preach here. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, everything you said, and I completely agree. I do believe the father's role is very important, and seeing them in their children's lives, in the community, just their role in general is so valuable, like, for sure. And even if you do not have, like, an in-house father or you never knew your father, I think there's a lot of role models out there. And I say a lot loosely, but sometimes you do have to find men that you can look up to and admire for the way they conduct themselves, whether it's in business, whether it's their own family life, whatever it may be. Personally, I think a man's influence is very essential. So for me, like, I was raised with my father around. Me and my father are still really close, and that dynamic, along with my stepfather, has really helped me give a different understanding to the way men operate and accepting them in their role and not trying to say, like, enforce, like, okay, well, I think they should act like my mom or this woman. Like, their roles are completely different. Like, granted, we're all human, but I do feel like what a man will bring to a table and a woman brings to the table, it appears differently because we are, like, the way our minds work are completely different. So I know once I have children, if I have children, whenever I have children, I do want the father to be pivotal in my child's life. Like, that's what I look for. Like, do I trust how you move, the way you think, as a man? Because it's going to be different for me. And I'm not expecting you to be the same, but I'm expecting to at least respect how you operate in your daily life, even with flaws and all. Like, to me, the way you handle different scenarios. You know, they say bring a man to the car dealership if you're a woman. You know, there's just different things like like you said with your husband, he's going to protect the house. Yes, women can protect themselves very well. Like I do believe we're very capable, but I do completely feel like the role of a man, that equivalence, like having both, the balance that gives the balance, you know. And yeah, I admire good, healthy, you know, men that are trying to work on themselves, trying to be the role models that they know they're capable of being. Like kudos to all the men out there that are fathers, that are role models, that are mentors. You know, we need you. We, you know, we respect and look for, we commend you all. You know, we look out for that. So that's my
Yes. Perfect. Well, that's very insightful, of course. To the viewers, like, comment, subscribe, turn your notification button on, talk with us, chat with us. If there's a topic here that you're vibing with, please talk to us. Write it down below. We want to talk to you. We want to learn from you. What's your vibe? Bye.
Yeah, and just another question for our viewers, especially our next viewers, because I'm curious now. I'm like, my wheels are rolling. Like, what do you feel is the importance of a man in our community, as a husband, as a father? Just give us some things. We're kind of doing like a little praise report for our men, you know, because we give y'all credit. Like, why not? So again, remember to like and subscribe, and we'll be vibing with you soon.
Bye. Vibing out.
Loud extra.